Hello, Virgo. Welcome to your, why was I about to say May? Your July connection session. I'm Princess India if you're new, and if you're family, welcome back, my friend, and what's not, or whatever. So, most of you guys may have heard, but I wasn't here for the latter part of last month because unfortunately my grandmother passed away. So, I wasn't able to do you guys' connection session for June. So I'm starting off the month doing you guys connection session, and the soul sessions are going to be at the at the midpoint of the month. Okay, let me not stare at those too much. Okay, I'm gonna do it this way to keep them in order because these are face up. But anywho, but I'm gonna do you guys soul sessions at the midpoint of May. So I hope you guys are okay with that. But anywho, we're going to go ahead and jump into you guys' cards. We're going to be looking at the energy between you as well as the person of interest. And then we're getting into a more specific spread where we're looking at how your person of interest thinks as well as feels about you. Hopefully you guys are reading better than what we've been getting for every other sign before you. But anywho, the card representing Virgo for the month. Why do I keep wanting to say May? What happened in May, Virgo? Because literally in my mind, what I'm knowing I need to say July, but it's like May. What happened in May, Virgo? Let me know in the comments. So the card representing you all for the month of July is the Queen of Pentacles. You guys are an earth sign, so that's appropriate. So kind of with you guys' person of interest, Virgo, I don't want to say that you aren't focused on them, but I feel like there's other things that I don't want to say more important either. You're focused on other material related things. So this could be anything from you guys focusing on finances. This could be bills, saving money towards something. This could be advancing in your career. It could be working towards a promotion. It could be purchasing a home, anything in that realm. So your person, I mean, they're there. You know what I'm saying? Like you think about them from time to time, but they're not necessarily your main focus. And potentially how this could be coming off to your person of interest is a tad bit of disinterest. I think that would be more of a judgment on their part, because I don't necessarily feel that there's any malicious intention. I feel more or less that you guys are more concerned about whatever this is that you're focused on and kind of getting ahead with that. And I think just your attention between that and your person kind of fell by the wayside, you know what I mean? So it's not necessarily that you don't care or that they're not, important to you or what have you. It's just that what it is that you're focused on is more important. And I think I just showed a boob. Just realizing I did not center this card, but anyway, yeah, so I feel like you're more focused on that. And your person of interest, anything I feel like I say is going to sound like a judgment, and that's in essence what it is. They're not really going to be seeing it from the perspective, and we'll get more into that in the specific spread. They're not really seeing it from like an empathized perspective. It's just them kind of judging, how it is that you're behaving and interpreting that however it is that they decide to judge it. Now, with your person of interest, okay, interesting. Let's cover up that peen. We have the devil in the reverse. That is Capricorn energy. So with your person of interest, I do feel like this is kind of a modification. If I were to say it this way, it's more or less, gosh, that's so weird. I don't think I've ever said that for the devil before. Hedonistic behaviors. I wouldn't even say that in regular conversation, but let's just go with it. So with your person of interest, I feel with them, and let's just say drinking, because I think that'll be easier. So say hypothetically, your person of interest like drank a lot, right? And say that Virgo commented on that a lot, when you were not hella focused on whatever it is you guys are focused on now. So it was always like a topic of conversation, like you shouldn't drink so much or whatever, right? So now since Virgo is focused, well, I cannot freaking talk. Since Virgo is focused on whatever it is that you're focusing on, I feel it feels more or less like guilt to me. Your person of interest is more or less like trying to pull back whatever it is that they were overindulging in. They're kind of tempering back on this thing. Now, can I say that this is a full on, revelation, like, hypothetically with the drinking thing? Like, I really do drink too much. I should not be drinking, so much. Like, I'm joining the sober train. Do I think that is motivated from there? Not really. I think this is more or less a modification of behavior based on how you're behaving, even though how you're behaving probably has absolutely nothing to do, at least how it looks from my perspective. I don't necessarily feel that if you guys are hella focused on work or career or money or whatever, I don't necessarily feel that that was motivated by your person of interest per se. But like I said, like they're judging your behavior based on their perspective. They're not really taking in. I mean, even if you've had conversations with them about this before, I don't really feel like they're taking that into account. It's kind of self-centered a little. It's like they're making your behavior about them. So whatever it is that you told them that they were doing too much of, I don't know, it could be anything. They drink too much, eat too much, go to the gym too much, whatever, anything that they were doing in excess. I feel like they're kind of tempering that because they're hoping that that would get your attention back on them. So pretty much what their assumption is you being distant or you focusing on stuff that's important to you. They're taking that as you pulling away from them. So it's like, oh my gosh, they did talk about, I did X, Y, Z. So let me do less of that to try to get their attention back on me type of deal. Now, the energy between the two of you, interesting. We have the 6 of Cuppies in the reverse. So literally, and I feel like this is kind of different for both of you, which kind of makes me think, Virgo, it makes me wonder if your behavior is a little motivated by this person a little bit. I think it would depend on the situation, because the two ways I'm seeing this, this is either, so this would kind of be two different groups of people. There's some of you guys where if y'all have been like, in a relationship or dealing with each other for a while, right? This would be Virgo is looking at the pattern in the relationship, right? And so say if it was like the drinking thing, Virgo made a lot of their life about this particular person, right? And there's never been any shifts and changes. And it's kind of like, why am I prioritizing this person or this relationship and putting myself on the back burner? This feels very similar to what I said to Leo. So if you have that in your chart, check it out. But with Leo, they were more in transit with it, where it was kind of, how can I say it? It was kind of with them. Yeah, they were kind of in the thick of it. So it was kind of Leo coming to the realization of like, I'm prioritizing this person over myself, but not necessarily taking action on it just yet. So if you do have that in your chart or your person of interest does, that may be giving you some additional information in reference to this. So what I'm saying is it could be that you were prioritizing your person like that, kind of realized that and elected, let me go back to school or let me focus on getting this promotion or whatever the case, and deciding to prioritize that based on this person's past behavior. And then in turn, your person of interest is more or less like, oh crap, don't want to lose them. Let me start making changes now. But I have to say, like with that, I would kind of watch out for that. Because like I was saying, it's not a true change. It's like when people make true change, they're not changing just out of like the fear of losing someone, because it's kind of a manipulation tactic when you look at it in reality. So it's not a true change. So it's like temporary behavior modification. And once like that threat of losing the person is gone, 9 times out of 10, the person falls back into that same behavior. Or like they sneak and do it. You know what I'm saying? So just be mindful of that. On the other side of this, how I would see this 6 of Cups is this would more or less be things like if you guys were newly dating, then this would be stuff that both of you have experienced past tense. So it's the same kind of scenario, So but like with Virgo, it's thinking about in past relationships, I've prioritized this person over myself. So it's like, I'm going to stay focused on what's important to me. With your other person, it would be acting more as like a trigger. It's like all my past partners said, hypothetically, I drink too much. So let me kind of cut back on the drinking because Virgo is probably pulling away from me and focusing more on all this other stuff because I drink too much type of deal, But still in all, it's kind of more, I don't want to necessarily say complex. It's a more convoluted, I think, for the people who are newly dating, just because there's levels of projection there from past relationships onto the present, on top of this person still kind of partaking in the same behaviors. It's, modification, temporary modification, as opposed to like true change, if that's making sense, right? So getting into your person of interest, how they're thinking and feeling about you, we'll get more details into that. So the first card that they have in their fleeting thoughts, interesting. We have the Two of Pentacles in the reverse. Then we have, oh gosh, there's a lot of nakedness going on here. We have the Wheel of Fortune in the reverse. I know you can't see a lot. There's 3 naked ladies. But whenever I see the Wheel of Fortune, I always talk about the fixed signs, which is Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, as well as Leo. And there's Leo popping up again. And then the third card that we have, interesting, let me cover them up. We have the Hermit, and that is Virgo energy. And in their conscious thoughts, we have, okay, a lot of booge there. We have the Three of Swords. Fascinating. Oh, yeah, this is a lot going on. Okay, so this is interesting. So kind of looking at this, what's kind of prominent to me first, but I could still feel the other one, so I'd have to say this 2 ways. The kind of newly dating thing is kind of prominent to me with this energy, but I can still see, if this is a couple that's been dealing with each other for some time, I can still see where that could be relevant as well. But my hunch, just kind of looking at this, would be that our projection card is going to be of some relevance, especially if this is like newly dating. If you guys have been together for more time, I would say it'd probably be less of projection energy because your person would have a lot more data to go off of. But anywho, with this Two of Pentacles in the reverse here, your person is seeing you as not necessarily, how can I say this? Not that you're in limbo. They feel like you've already made a decision. What you would be in limbo about is informing them about the decision that you've made. So their perception is more or less that you have elected to not move forward with them, right? And I would say that on both sides, whether this is old or new, is their perception is that you've made the decision to not move forward with this. So your mind's pretty much made up that you're kind of over it a little bit, but you just haven't informed them of it. You feel what I'm saying? And with this Wheel of Fortune in the reverse, and why I say this is like very projection-like, because this is a lot of this is a lot of judgments a person makes that you can't necessarily come to the conclusion of this. You know what I mean? Like you can't, like, I mean, we could assume that, but realistically, we don't know what anyone else is, really thinking in real life. But that's why I say if this is a newer couple, a lot of this would be like projection, and this would have a lot to do with what it is that they've experienced past tense and connections, as opposed to what they've actually experienced with you, because it's not a lot of time. But if this is a couple where you guys have been together for a while, this person could make these judgments based on, past behavior. You know what I'm saying? But it's like with this Wheel of Fortune, their perception of you is that you feel like this is kind of a lose-lose situation with them. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not benefiting anything from this. This is like stagnant. This isn't really going anywhere. And their perception of you, which, I mean, this is Virgo's card with the Hermit, is more or less you isolate. So their big perception, and then the why for this, I'll get to that before my explanation. Oh my gosh, am I getting a Charlie horse on my foot? No, don't do that. Oh, why do I always sit Indian style? Okay, sorry, you guys. I was like, this feels like a Charlie horse on my foot. Anyway, but with this 3 of Swords, their whole reasoning behind this is because they feel that they've disappointed you or broken your heart in some sense or another. And I mean, for some of you, I wouldn't say a lot of you, this is like a small percentage. I don't know if this person has like a baby mama. Baby mamas have been coming up a lot for Virgo for the past couple of months, but I don't know if this person has like a baby mama or like a childhood best friend that is like whatever sex they're interested in. So whether they're interested in girls or dudes, the person would be the same sex that they're attracted to. But this is like a person, and I mean, not necessarily childhood friend. I mean, this could be like a friend from high school, a friend from college even. But it's either that, it's either a baby mama, baby daddy, it's childhood, high school, college friend that's the same sex that they're attracted to. That's kind of like a small percentage. And the kind of overindulgence thing would be related to this particular person. Like you feel like they spend too much time with this person, or they talk to this person too much, or the boundaries with this person are a little, like shady, so to speak. Like that person, how Virgo would perceive it, is like this person is kind of like a habitual line stepper, like they're kind of always around in a sense. But other than that, this would just be speaking specifically to your person of interest behavior. You know what I'm saying? And them feeling as if you're heartbroken over that. And the word I wanted to say with that is jealousy. Like if this does involve another person, your person of interest perception of you is that you're like jealous of the excessive time that they spend with this particular person. But if it's not involving another person, then it's them feeling as if, and that's so interesting. What my guys just said is interesting, because that's true. If this person has like some sort of like an addiction or something like that, it literally would be like they're in a relationship with another person, because that's the way that addiction is set up. It's literally like whether it's like gambling, video games, internet, porn, drugs, alcohol, whatever. Whenever a person has an addiction, they're very much in the relationship with their addiction, and they end up being emotionally unavailable to everyone else in their life. So that is shout out to y'all. That is a very valid point. So whether this is actually a physical person or it is an addiction, it is like this person is in another relationship, to where I could see how Virgo, not saying that you literally are, but just saying overall, not even just Virgo, I could see how a person not necessarily being jealous, but I could understand how it could be defined that way, because that thing or person, and more that thing, because I can understand with a person, that makes total sense. But like with that thing, it's taking up so much of that person's time. And I can see where that whole dynamic comes in, where instead of me, stressing and, nagging about the fact that this person spends so much of their time doing XYZ, it's like, I'm going to focus my attention towards what it is that's important to me. But I just think it's kind of a red flag of the fact that that's what it takes this person to kind of snap into it. But again, like I said, not snap into it as if they're going to make a true change. It's just they're temporarily modifying their behavior because your behavior has shifted. And I don't really see it so much as them wanting to make a full-on change. You know what I'm saying? Because what it ends up becoming is like stringing a person along on false pretenses, if that's making sense. But that's how it is that they're viewing you. Now, their subconscious impression, child, I know you lying. The subconscious impression, this came out for someone else too. It's the 10 of Swords in the reverse. So legit, in reality, with your person of interest, they are in reality still broken up about something with them. Ooh, and that's a whole lot. It's a whole lot of things I'm getting with that. Okay. That's a lot going on. For some of your persons of interest, for those of you where your person of interest was married before, it has to do with that. If there's any serious relationship that you know that they were in prior to you, it has to do with that. And it would be serious in the sense of either they had kids together, were married, lived under the same roof, not like, simplistic boyfriend, girlfriend type of stuff. This would have to be a serious committed relationship or marriage. And then for a lot of people, this would literally go back to like childhood, but specifically issues with their parents' relationship or marriage, like most prominent ones. I mean, that could be their parent being married to a step parent or their actual like mom and dad. It's something with that that greatly affected them. This is in the reverse. It's in their subconscious. This is not anything that they're remotely aware of that influences their behavior or drives their behavior. I always say, if you had this person watch this video or said to them what I said verbatim, they would laugh at you hysterically and say, there's no way, don't feel like that. Hence why it's in their subconscious. But how they would be projecting this onto you is, for those of you who have been together for an extended period of time, they would look at it as, why you keep bringing up old stuff, right? They see it as you still holding them accountable or not having forgiving them for something that they did in the relationship in the past, and being very adamant about, I am not the same person. Like, I've changed so much. How have you not seen that I've changed? Like, I'm so different. But in reality, they're really not that different. You know what I'm saying? It's very much, like I said, temporary behavior modification. And when I tell people, if you want to tell the difference with that, it's usually in crisis, right? Like, a person could put on a front for a while. I mean, we can even delude ourselves to believe that we've changed somehow, right? But when a person is in a crisis situation or under a great deal of stress, like, the truth about a person's behavior is always going to come to the forefront, right? And if they are responding and behaving the same way that they have in the past, then absolutely nothing has changed, right? That's temporary behavior modification. Now, for those of you where this is something that's fairly new, like you're newly dating, then what they're projecting onto you is that you're not over a past experience. So whether that's your past marriage, your last committed relationship with your baby mama, baby daddy, whatever the case, and you actually are, right? But they're projecting that onto you because they're not seeing that as a truth about themselves. So, and I think it's funny too, because a lot of times with people like this, like, even when they give advice, they're always given advice from that place. It's like, oh, I don't know, my partner's acting like this. And it's like, oh yeah, because they're not over their ex. And it's like, no, that's you. You know what I'm saying? So that's how they would be projecting that onto you guys. Now, their feelings towards you, how interesting. We have the Six of Swords. This person is something. I don't ever like swords and to show up in the feeling space, because that says to me that this particular person, they're approaching the connection very much from like logic mind and not emotion mind. So it's kind of 1 + 1 = 2. Like, yeah, I screwed up, but you said you forgave me. So like, forgive me and let's move on. Like, let's move forward. And what this person's desire really is to move forward. It's like, whatever it is that you're doing now, like, let's not do that. And let's just go back to like stuff being good. Hence the reason why I was saying the thing that's constantly coming up and has been since I've seen this Devil card in the reverse is temporary behavior modification, right? It's the fact that when we talk about true change, your person of interest doesn't necessarily have that in mind. It's like their thing is like, let's just kind of sweep it under the rug type of deal. Now, most of you guys who have been with me for some time have heard me lecture about this countless times. But whenever, like, in the book I always recommend to you guys, Hold Me Tight by Sue Johnson, like, best relationship book ever. But the demon dialogue, she talks about that in the book. And that's when, like, you're in a relationship and you like keep having the same argument over and over again, or you keep arguing about a bunch of petty stuff, But when you argue, it always comes back to like this stump. Like if you think of when you cut down a tree and the stump is still there, it always comes to this stump. And it's like the same like root issue over and over again that never seems to get resolved, no matter how much you try to talk about it, no matter how much you try to lay everything on the table. It's like you get to a point in arguing to where everything just dismantles, like everything goes haywire, and you can't even really have a conversation about anything because like they're yelling, they're offended, you're offended, and you're never really getting anywhere. Sue Johnson calls that the demon dialogues, and that's pretty much when you're stuck in like a pattern, right? But I feel with this person, they're never even wanting to get to that point to where you have like a complete kind of fallout. It's like for them, once stuff starts getting kind of uneasy and sticky, it's like, not saying they would literally say this, but it's almost like, okay, I screwed up, like forgive me already. Like, look, I only had like one drink this week. Like, let's get over this. Let's stop talking about it. Like, yeah, okay, I cheated on you, but I've been home like every night since then. Like, leave me alone. Like, let's stop talking about it. Like, why you bringing up old stuff? You know what I'm saying? So the thing with this is we could say, oh, well, you know, this person isn't confrontational. They don't like drama. But the true thing is the person doesn't really like conflict because conflict is uncomfortable for them. And truth be told, conflict is healthy to a certain extent. You know what I mean? But constantly always sweeping stuff under the rug is just going to cause that pile to get taller and taller under the rug. And eventually it's going to have to be dealt with. So that's why I'm saying it's like, if the thing that's influencing this person to change is you shifting your behavior, that's not really a true motivation to change. Because when we make true change, we're not making those changes for other people. We're making them for ourselves. Because if you make it for other people, the second something happens to that person, like you're going right back to the way that you were. You know what I'm saying? So if you get sober for a person, that person leaves, you no longer have any reason to be, you know, sober. You know what I'm saying? So the only thing I would say with this Virgo, I would feel for my newer people, this may be like news to you. For those of you who've been with this person for some time, I don't really feel like this is new. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you guys have a pretty good idea of what it is that you're dealing with. But the only thing that I would say is to just be cautious of the fact that it's temporary behavior modification. I would say that's more like, I think my people who've been together for a while, like this is kind of, you know, same shit, different day. It's like, yeah, I know this. This is what they do. But for those of you where you haven't been with that person for too long, I would say the warning's a little bit more for you guys to not fall for the okie doke, because I feel this person's only desire to really like modify their behavior or stop doing whatever it is that they've been doing is just because your behavior changed up. And especially if your behavior changed up and had nothing to do with them. Like, I feel if for those of you where this is fairly new and you guys are not focusing on money and career, like to spite this person, like you're just doing it because you want to, this is where this is like, really pay attention because it's like you inadvertently created a scenario that exposed this person in a sense. It's like you focusing on yourself, like orchestrated a situation unknowingly that caused this person to kind of show their hand to where they're changing and modifying their behavior because they think that you're pulling away or that you're focusing on something else. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's something that you'd want to kind of keep in mind on if that's something you really want to fraternize with. You know what I mean? But anywho, I'll throw these dice. I said, I don't know how long I'm going to do it, but I feel bad if I like did it for all the signs before a sign, then I'm just like, I'm not doing it anymore. And it's like, oh, where's my Zodiac sign? So these are my little Zodiac dice. So I'm going to throw it and see what two signs come out. See if it resonates with you, know what I'm saying? We have Scorpio and Aquarius. So Scorpio and Aquarius. And that's interesting because with this Wheel of Fortune, that's both Scorpio and Aquarius. Good with that card. But anyway, Let me know what you think in the comments, Virgo. As always, I love your freaking face, and I will see you guys sooner than later, my friends.